Hey guys, welcome back. It's Gillian. I'm a psychic past life, an energy healer, and a psychic development coach. On my channel, we speak about everything from spirituality, sexuality, conscious relationships, business, and everything in between. So if that's your jam, then press that subscribe button and I would love to have you here. Now, I have had a lot of weird spiritual happenings over my lifetime. And ultimately, that's why I now do the work that I do. But I never used to do this work. And my spiritual awakening came in phases for sure. I had a lot of experiences as a child, and then I blocked that through a lot of my adulthood. And I had a huge spiritual awakening after a breakup, and then a double awakening after another breakup. Losses seem to be a huge catalyst for our awakening and our ascension journey, and it sure was for me. Now, along with training to be a psychic and doing psychic readings, I also tuned into my mediumship skills. And now those two don't work exclusively together. Some people channel and connect with energies more from a psychic perspective, and some connect with spirits and those that have passed over from a mediumship perspective. They are different. Some people have the ability to do both, and some have a stronger leaning to one or the other. So this is something that I teach when I teach my students in my psychic development course, but I have experienced both. And I've had quite a few interesting experiences with mediumship and those that have passed over. And one of those specifically was my gran, who passed over last year. Now, she'd been ill for some time, and when people get older, they definitely, they just want to pass, right? There's that level where they just are ready to go. Now, my gran had been in hospital time and time again, and this time was ultimately the time that she was about to pass. And obviously everyone knew it, the doctors knew it, we knew it. So it was kind of just a bit of a waiting game, making her as comfortable as possible until that time. Now, because of all of my experiences with speaking to spirits and experiencing people from the other side, I know that there's nothing to fear. I know that we are a multidimensional soul, and we live many lifetimes, and we have a consciousness even when we are not in our physical body. So this loss was, although sad that she wasn't here presently, I was still able to fully connect to her. Now, and which I did after she did pass. And it's so interesting when a soul that passes, and what they bring through in terms of their personality and their traits, but also after time, some of the learnings. Because when we go back into our etheric state, we do a life review, and we review the things that we had planned to do in our life as part of our soul's evolution, the things that we did, the things that we didn't do. And it's interesting how they come through energetically with sometimes a new sense of profound wisdom than sometimes that they didn't have when they were here in human form. So the reason that this was such an interesting experience for me was because when my gran was passing, she tried to take my dad with her. Let me say that again, because most people are not going to believe this. But when she was passing to the other side, I like to say passing to the other side rather than dying, because her soul, her spirit doesn't die. She just loses her physical body. Now, when she was in hospital and she was passing, she tried to take my dad with her. Now, let me explain. So she had got put into hospital, and again, it was just a kind of a waiting game. There was days where she was in hospital, and we were trying to keep her as comfortable as possible. And then all of a sudden, as soon as she went in, my dad's leg flared up. He had a huge infection in his leg, and he needed to be hospitalized. And of course, he was hospitalized in the same hospital that my gran was in. And not only that, he was in the same number ward than she was in. but just on a different floor. So the signs and synchronicities were already there. My spidey senses are tingling. And of course, I was like, what is going on? There's something that's going on here. So my dad was in there and the doctors were trying to decipher, are we going to operate or are we going to give him antibiotics? Like, what is the best course of action? And he was slowly deteriorating, as was my gran. And I just knew, obviously, intuitively, that this was interlinked. This was so divinely interlinked. So I, of course, energetically inspected what was going on. And my dad actually eventually went into be operated on, and he was being operated on and he was recovering when my gran actually passed. But before this was all happening, I had tuned in and connected to my gran's higher self. And I actually tuned into a past life where they were, my dad and his mom, as souls in a different lifetime, were actually lovers. And again, this might surprise some people, but we reincarnate with a soul family. So we reincarnate with different souls that play different roles in each lifetime to help our evolution and growth. And again, this is not something we are born conscious of. It is something that is fully unconscious until we unlock it with our spiritual gifts, which obviously I was able to do. So when I tuned into my gran's higher self and was able to see this past life playing out, she was an older woman and he was a younger man, and she had rescued him from drowning in this lifetime. And she had made a vow, and he had made a vow to her that they were never going to leave each other. And again, this might not seem like a big thing because people say that stuff all the time when they're in love. But when a lifetime is left unresolved in some way, we can carry those imprints, we can carry those patterns, we can carry those contracts, that karma, through to different lifetimes, and it can play out. So this is exactly what was happening. So my gran, again, this was fully unconsciously, and this was all on an energetic level. As she was passing, this karmic contract was playing out. And it's like she was draining, again, unconsciously, his life force and trying to take him with her because they had made a contract that they were never going to leave each other. And when I tuned into her higher self and I spoke to her higher self, and she told me, she said, he's coming with me. That's what she said. He's coming with me. I'm taking him with me. And obviously when I was able to talk to my higher self, to her higher self, and explain the ramifications of that and actually what was happening and the fact that, ethically it wasn't good to do that. And obviously he had a family, he had a life still to live. And eventually at a soul level, she got it. And she was actually very apologetic. And it was a very emotional experience actually for me to it was like negotiate that with her higher self, with her soul, with this part of herself that it felt so finite, like this was just happening, and there was no other level of consciousness around it. So when she at a soul level fully understood the ramifications of her trying to take him with her into the afterlife, she agreed to rescind that contract. And now again, this is something that I do with my clients when we come across a contract that isn't serving them, because we can have contracts to many different people within our current life that may be causing us issues, that may be an ex, that just aren't serving us, that we had created in a past life that was a good idea at the time, but now in this life it actually doesn't serve us and is really in fact hindering us. So a lot of the work that I do is to rescind those contracts, to rescind any karma, to clear any residue that we have held with any particular thing or belief or person. And of course, because she wasn't able to do that with me, I was able to speak to her higher self and negotiate and have that conversation. So ultimately, as soon as we were able to clear that contract and she had agreed to it at a soul level, she then passed. And then my dad started to recover. And again, it seems so fanatical to most people that are not in this industry, that have not had these spiritual experiences, but it happened. And obviously after this all happened, and my dad was recovering, I was speaking to my mom, and I told her what I'd done. I told her what had come up. And to my surprise, actually, you know, my mom is very open, but she's not deep in this like I am. So it always surprises me when I tell my mom something and she is like, oh my God, that resonates. That makes sense. Like, you know, I'm like, cool, validation. This is pretty cool. And when I told her what I had experienced and what Gran had said about that she was going to take him with her, she was like, that is so freaky because your Gran used to say that all the time. She used to always say, when I die, I'm taking you with me. She used to always apparently say that to my dad. I had no conscious knowledge of this whatsoever. I live in a different country and I have done for a very long time. So when she told me that, I got complete goosebumps because this is something, again, at an unconscious level that she was playing out, like she, at a soul level, truly believed. And this is what can happen when we have unresolved karmic ties, when we have carried things over from lifetimes that these impact us in such a way, and they can impact other people that we are connected to. So being able to understand anything in our life that is causing us chaos, anything in our life that is causing us a challenge, anything in our life that is draining us, we can find out the root cause of that from doing psychic energy healing or going into a past life. Because some things, yes, absolutely, they have been birthed from this life, but of many things, we've carried the residues and contracts and karmas from past lives too. And look, I am not saying that, you know, someone is going to try and take you to the other side with them when they die. That is a really, really specific case. And honestly, it was something that I had never experienced nor even heard about being a possibility that could happen until I was actually experiencing it for myself. And I would never probably have ever experienced something like this with someone passing and knowing that it was influencing the life force of someone else unless it was my family. That is the only way that I was able to experience this, because it was happening directly to my gran and my dad and my own intimate family. And I knew at a conscious psychic level that I could do something about it. So this is the power, guys, of psychic energy healing and exploring your past lives, because we can clear so much that is impacting us in a negative way. And it also shows you the influence that these contracts and karma has on us, and things that we just are so unaware of. But when we go into a psychic energy healing session or a past life session, we're able to unfold that. It all unfolds. We can see what we need to see. We are told. We're able to communicate with higher selves. We're able to get the guidance and find the root cause so we can clear it at the root cause. So we can clear any of the disruptions. We can clear any of the distortions. We can clear any of the challenges that we have in our life. And this doesn't even just go to relationships. This could be any blockages that you have in your life. Health issues, money issues, purpose issues, career issues, any aspect of your life that feels blocked, or there feels like there's a challenge or chaos within, there could be an underlying reason, and it could be energetic, and it could be from your past life. So I hope you enjoyed story time. I know it is an absolutely crazy story, but it happened. And I can only share with you my unique stories when it comes to everything spiritual. And this is why I do this work. This is why miracles can happen, through delving into the energetics and knowing the level of multidimensionality that we are here as a soul, and that we aren't just human, and that we don't just die and then disappear. We are an infinite soul, and we continue to live, but just in a different level of consciousness when we do pass. So if you are curious to explore and clear any of the challenges that you might have so that you can become more empowered, so that you can actually live the life that you want, so you can have better relationships, so you can have more money, so you can actually find your purpose, so you can grow your business. Whatever it is, the root to your challenge might be from a past life. Or even if you're just interested to explore past lives in general and see what guidance comes up, to be able to connect with your higher self, to be able to connect with your guides. It is truly fascinating what comes up in these sessions. So, as I said, I hope you enjoyed my very vulnerable, very personal story when it comes to past lives and mediumship and the other side. And if you're already like, girl, I get it, I feel you, I've already had a spiritual awakening, I know I'm a spiritual being, I'm already in tune with my intuition, I've been seeing signs and synchronicities everywhere, and I want to learn more, then you can join me on my psychic development program, or you can join me in my free masterclass. The details are below, and I would love to see you there if you want to connect with your intuition, if you want to learn to develop your psychic abilities, learn to clear all of your blockages, and manage and protect your energy, because it can be so fundamental to everything in your life. So that's me, and I will see you on the next one. Bye, guys.